Alright, so as you can see, my new steering wheel came. I installed it. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt. I don't think it's centered because the way the hub lined up with the horn assembly kind of, yeah, so it might not be straight going down the road, but you know, we can fix that with an alignment. I think it was like one notch off because I couldn't move it. But yeah, the horn would work, but I got to take the horns apart and work on them. I don't need to turn it on for that. They're getting power. They're just not horning. They're not horny, unlike me. But this video, we're going to be installing the aluminum radiator, aluminum shroud with electric fans. The website is alloyworksplus.com. I'll have a link in the description. They have nice radiators for older cars and stuff like that. Real nice radiators. So this is an aluminum radiator, aluminum cap, transmission coolers built in. This is a nice setup, very compact. It's gonna free up lots of room in here because that radiator is going to be right here, fans right there. This is going to be all wide open in the front, so we kind of need to dress this up so it looks a lot better. But I do not know exactly where we're going to be mounting our temperature sensor. I'll get more into this in a little bit. I have to go because the Kia is sold, so I need to go get that done. I'll be right back. That was quick. I'm back. The Kia found a new owner, and that also found money into my wallet, so now I can buy more parts for the truck. It's like, you don't make out like I just gotta spend more. Anyways, we're going a different direction with this truck than I originally wanted to do. I wanted to just buy all the panels, just replace them and stuff like that, but I don't know if you've been pricing panels for this thing, so unfortunately, I'm gonna be doing a lot of body work on this truck. Bed sides, I am going to buy the fenders, and probably I'm going to buy the inner fenders because they're pretty affordable. But the bed sides, in fact, the fenders have went up about $130 since I originally put them in my cart. No good. But for mock-up reasons, I'm going to use these fenders right now just to mock some stuff up, like the mirrors. I want to see how they look, so we're going to do it on these junk fenders. And there's... I don't know if I want to mount them. I want to use these fenders. I want to try to mock something up. I want to make a custom piece for this, like a front lip, if you will, for the front bumper. And I'm like, I see a shape here that I like right across here, this part up. Now, obviously, we're damaged back there, but then have the other side over here, and this one's a decent one. Cut them, weld them together. This shape right here, to me, I think would look cool. You go across here. We're going to chop it on both sides and weld them together. Now, we'll probably have to take that lip off, but if you see it, now imagine it under the bumper like that. So it'll be down here and come out. I'm thinking, I originally wanted to go with a roll pan in the front, but the more I look at pictures of them with the front roll pan, the more I don't like it. There's certain trucks it looks okay on it. On this one, the back roll pan, yes. The front one, I like the bumper look better, but I like a painted bumper, not... This one's a chrome one with spray paint on it, so I don't know how you get paint to stick to chrome, but we'll have to do something on this. But, yes, like a custom valance under the front bumper. Now, after it's lowered and everything, it's going to make it look even lower. I think that'll be cool. But this video is about the fans, wiring them up, the radiator, all that stuff. We're going to get that in this episode. Now, this temperature sender, what this does is when it hits a certain temperature, and what I'm hearing, it's 185 degrees, this grounds out, okay? It has a resistance reading. Once it gets to a certain resistance, it grounds out. Sends a ground signal to the relay, and then the relay kicks and sends full power from the battery to the fans and turns them on. So what your wires are on here is this is your relay. This black wire is your ground wire that is going to go to the temperature sender right here. The white wire is going to go to key on power, 12 volt. The red wire is going to go positive battery, and then the blue wire is going to go to the fans to power them. Now this comes with the fans, so does the temperature sender, and so do these wire ends. I've seen other videos, a guy wired it totally different. He just ran red and white to power on the battery. That's not the correct way to do it. You can do it that way, it'll work, but it's always going to be sending power to this relay. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. So anyways, that's the way we're going to do it. And there was another video I saw that said the insulation was very thick, but the wires weren't as thick. I don't know. This one looks, I think they've updated it since the video I seen of his. Because this looks like it's pretty thick wire. So in this kit, this will be confusing to you. It looks like you would run that to a ground terminal right there. And that's not the way you're supposed to do it, because this ground signal is what tells this relay to kick and send power to the fans. So this is going to go, the black wire is going to go to that. What we're going to do is just cut this off, and then we're just going to run a wire from this to the temperature sender, which I don't know where we're putting it yet. Now I got a chrome housing for this. That is not the correct thread, I don't think, to go in there. I don't believe so. It might be. But that's one place you can put it. Another place where you typically want to put it is your hottest spot of the engine would be the cylinder heads. There is a temperature sending unit right there. Now you could replace it with this, but then you don't have that feature. Now I'm going to look and see if there's another one. But you want this to go into a water jacket so that it is getting hot water. Or if you're Chris Fix, water. Another spot is on the water pump right here. I don't know if there's enough room for that. I honestly don't know what thread this is or if I'm going to need an adapter, but I wanted to replace this with this chrome thermostat housing I have, and I may anyways, but then I might need those ports to put this in. Now you can get one with, I couldn't find the correct one, but you can get them with the thermostat holes in them, and I couldn't find any that were chrome. Another major problem we have with this is a significant oil leak on both valve covers, which is why I got those valve covers. They're going to look nice on there. We need to clean up a lot of wires and stuff, but we are doing the radiator right now. So this radiator was bad. It was leaking. As you can see right here, it's been patched several times. That's fresh right there, but it's leaking right from this neck. So it needed to be replaced. It's just been patched way too many times to even try to keep going. This is going to be a nice upgrade. Only problem I foresee is I'm not good with electrical, and I do not know if this alternator is putting out enough power to compensate for these fans. Now we're not running a ton load of electronics or anything like that. I put that stereo in it, but I'm not going to put an amplifier or any of that stuff in. We're just going to put speakers in that run off of that. So that's not a big deal here. And we're not running air conditioning. There's a lot of things that we're not running. Now there's a possibility that this or this plug or that plug is key on power, and that'll be nice to run to our relay. If not, I'm just going to get a jumper wire and go poking around until sparks fly, and then we'll know which one's a key on power. So as you can see here, we added a crap ton of room. This rubber mount looks like it's about brand new. That one over there is about shot, so we might have to do something with that one over there. But we can still put the radiator in for now, and it's not going to be a big deal down the road. But While I have it like this, there's plenty of room where I can actually even sit in there on the radiator support and work on this. Now, it looks a little bit muddy looking inside the thermostat housing, so I'm going to take that off of there and look at it. So just like most things when you're working on an old vehicle like this, took the thermostat housing out, and whatever this vacuum solenoid was there that was not being utilized. And as you can see, there is a bolt broken off. Thankfully, it is not flush. But also the inside of this is looking kind of rusty, muddy. I want to put a new thermostat in. I want to put a colder thermostat in so that these fans don't run full bore. But where that vacuum solenoid was is a perfect placement for this. I'm not going to put that in right now because I got to work on that bolt. So I'm going to get my torch out and work on that. We also are going to flush this, so I'm going to have to drive this outside. You can drive a vehicle without a radiator in it. It's not going to hurt it. Just don't go very far. Don't leave it running for a long period of time. Another thing is, I'm still on the fence. I was thinking about changing out this intake manifold, and my carburetor gasket, the lower gasket, is leaking because I sprayed carb cleaner down through there, and it leaked out of the bottom on both sides. So the carburetor is going to have to come off to put new gaskets under it, which it looks like they doubled up. I don't know. It's like really thick. They have a really thick gasket underneath. So we will be taking the carburetor off. I'll probably clean it up, shine it up a little bit while I do have it off. My dad has a Performer intake manifold down there that he had on his 57 Chevy that he said he's never going to use, and he had it on his, and then he decided to take it off because it's supposed to give it more higher end power, and where the original ones is better for lower end power. So being that we're making this kind of like a street rod truck, I think that will be good for this. So I'm going to call him right now and see if I can get that. If I can, then that's, you know, more work that we got to do here, but it's really not a big deal. This motor would look really good with one on there too as well. I need to start painting some stuff. Alright, so we did get that out of there. Yes, I'm probably doing another intake manifold, but until then, I'm throwing this on. Throwing that on there. This is going to be a temporary setup just for now. This truck's going to be here for a while, so don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. Now it almost looks awkward because there's so much space here now. The only other thing you could do is maybe take that shroud and put it back on. Put it in there. I don't like it. It doesn't fit around the shroud. Obviously there's normally not a shroud there, so although that looks good, what we're going to do is these don't clamp down as tight as I would like. I need to get new rubbers there. Look at, oh, spider, he's dead. Anyways, these don't clamp down as tight as I would like them to on top of there. So we're going to add a piece of radiator hose on top of that down on there. I'm sure they probably make different mounts for this. And it does hold it in place. It's just a little looser than I would like. So I'm going to take the shroud back out, put these pieces of radiator hose in there, and we'll see how it fits in there then. A little tip on those transmission cooler lines, do not over tighten them. This is aluminum. Those are steel fittings. Tighten them in until they start to get a little bit snug. You can always go tighter. You cannot go back after you strip out a hole. So, I mean, you can, but it's a lot more work and it's a lot harder. So, put them in there just snug. No, don't be going Hulk Hogan on it. You know, just, yeah, brother. You know, a little, and then you're done. Now, it's tighter on this side than it is the other side. I have it in there about as even as I can get it, but as you can see, still a little loose on that side. Clamp's not big enough. I gotta get another clamp on there. But as for the radiators, they're plumbed in. We're gonna test the electric fans and see if they work. So I can rig these up to test them out. Alright, so imagine I have this all wired up now. Just ignore the mess. Anyways, what you would do is run this to a key on power. This is just 12 volts. It sends this signal to here. It sends power to here that can kick the solenoid. The ground wire, which is going to be connected to that temperature switch, is going to complete that circuit and connect the relay, which is going to send power straight from the positive lead to the electric fans. Now, these leads are way too small for what I'm trying to do here, which is perfect. The main power wire has a 30 amp fuse in it. This is just test purposes. I only have one fan hooked up. So let's just do a double power to the battery. The ground is hooked to the ground right there. And alright, so you get the idea. I'm not running it that long since I'm using really small wires for my grounds and stuff. Just these little jumper leads. They do good for just for testing. I need to get this thing completely wired up, get some coolant in it, and figure out what I'm doing with the carburetor and the intake at this point. But we'll be able to run it after this. I should be able to get it up to temperature, and then we'll see if the fans kick on. I'm pretty sure that the thermostat in there is going to be hotter than what we need, which means that the fans are going to run a lot more. From what I was seeing online, that turns the fans on at 185 degrees and then it kicks off at 165. So 165, 160 is kind of what the thermostat you want to run. But right there on the intake manifold, not the heads, but the intake manifold, the coolant is going to be a little bit cooler at that point than it is at the heads. So it might not conflict. I don't know yet. Let me get this all wired up and then I'll show you what that looks like.
Three, two, one.
Now, this is by no means the finished product. Like, I have to tidy up all these wires and stuff, but there was a hole already here. I just had to make it a little bit bigger. I put a riv nut in there, put a stainless bolt in there, holds the relay right there. Right here was a ground for the headlights, so I ran the ground for this fan over here. I ran the ground for that fan over to that headlight ground over there. These wires in the back that I said there was probably a key on power. There was one in this one plug. These plugs have not been used for years. I don't even know what they go to, but that one had a key on power, so I put my own plug in, as you can see, and plugged it into that key on power right there. Everything is just zip tied up for now, just to get it out of the way. All the wiring needs to be cleaned up and stuff. The same with all those wires that run right there to the alternator and down to the battery and stuff. All those need to be covered to make this look a lot nicer. But temperature switch is in. You don't want to put any sealant on that temperature sensor because it needs to ground to the intake manifold. And we are getting a different intake manifold, so we'll be redoing all of this. So I'm just going to fill this thing up with water because we're going to be, you know, taking all this back apart again, so I don't feel like wasting antifreeze to put in this for no reason. So we put some water in this, and then I'll get this thing running up to temperature, and we'll see if the fans work. Alright, so I brought the hose in here, put some water in. What we are going to do, I don't have it right now, but we're going to end up running some coolant flush. You dump it in the radiator, you run it, get it hot, then you dump it out. Since it was kind of like muddy in there, we're going to do that before we change this intake out. And I gotta also have a carburetor rebuild kit coming because we need those gaskets, and you might as well rebuild. You're taking it off, it's dirty. That thing needs cleaned. So we're gonna make that thing look 10 times better. I'm just gonna go ahead and start this thing up. Hopefully got enough battery. I've been turning this thing on and off for so long. I'm glad this thing has power steering because this would be so hard to turn. I think we have an exhaust leak over here. Now I need to let this thing get up to temperature, so I'm gonna set up a time lapse, put a light up here, and that way you can see when it kicks on. I'm just gonna let it run. So it'll be a fast time lapse. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but check it out. So it works perfect. Well, I should say perfect. It's not perfect because, like I said, I believe it's a 185 degree thermostat that's in there. I need to drop down to like a 160. Now, I don't know if you noticed, after those fans kicked on, they stayed on the whole time. And they should not stay on the whole time. They should be able to. And honestly, when I'm driving, there will be air coming through. That'll also help to cool it. Those fans should not just run constantly the whole time. So I'm going to put a cooler thermostat in there so that it'll start circulating early, and that way it'll keep it cooler and the fans won't have to run as much. Also, my temperature sender down there, it's working, but I don't think it's working right. Like, my gauge in there's reading, but it was reading pretty low. It looked like it was about 120 or something like that when it kicked on, and I know that's not true. So I believe we're just going to put a new one in. We're going to put new spark plugs in. I don't know if we're doing wires yet. The wires are actually in decent shape. All this stuff, like the distributor, all that stuff looks like it was already changed. A lot of work ahead of us, but that is just, I wanted to cover these radiators. Wanted to show you how simple they are to install. The wiring wasn't bad. I took my time, put quick disconnects on some stuff, and we're going to clean up that wiring later. But for right now, that works just fine. And now it's just like, there's so much room here. I'm thinking, I hate to do it, but I'm thinking about cutting that fan shroud a little bit so that I can set that on top of here. Kind of just cover this up some. It'll look a little bit better. Maybe I'll just use some of the shroud to come down around the outer edges here. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I don't need that much, and I have mounts to mount these here and here, so I could just chop it right across here. Just use this top portion. Just give it a cleaner look, I'm thinking. Put on top of here. But I don't know. But if you guys want to get your hands on one of these radiators, I'm going to put a link down in the description. There will be a discount code for you guys. The discount code is going to save you 5% on a purchase off their website. Like I said, go check them out. They have more than just radiators, but that's their main thing. Radiators, fans, fan shrouds, the whole wiring harness, everything comes with it. It's really a nice deal for not that much money. So if you guys like this video, smash that like button. Consider subscribing. Hit that dislike button if your mom needs an aluminum radiator to cool her down after watching Unwrecked. And we'll see you on the next episode of Unwrecked.
Wait, she ran. Why you run from me?
Come here. Come here.
Stella.
Come here. Come see me.
This is your chance, Stella.
I was just petting her. There she is. There she is. Where are you going? Come back. Come see me. You know you love me.
What? Why are you sitting out here by yourself? Huh? Yeah? You don't say. What? You ready to play? Look at that, you're so long. You're so long. Ouch! You just latched on to me, you little butthole. Look, he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.